What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'm going to give you guys my top 5 breakfasts to have in 2024. And again, I'm going to use my trusted whiteboard. I'm just going to talk to you guys exactly what I think would be the best approach to your first meal of the day. Okay, now I want to start by saying breakfast is not essential. It's certainly not the most important meal of the day. Okay, for some people, maybe it doesn't work to have breakfast. Maybe it's better to fast. I'm going to give you guys a bit more understanding behind that later on in this video, but you definitely don't need to be having it. However, if you decide that that works for you, you're a breakfast person, maybe you always had breakfast and you just don't really know what the right foods are to eat. If you're trying to lose fat, you're trying to build muscle, you're trying to get in better shape, then this video is for you, because I'm going to give you guys what my top 5 would be. Now, these are breakfasts that we would give to our clients. These are all breakfasts that I've tried myself as well. My breakfast sometimes changes kind of dependent on my goal, but it's normally one of these things that I'm about to explain to you. So let's get straight into it. Start off with number 1, okay? This is obviously quite broad, and I'm not suggesting you simply just eat what I'm about to say, but eggs, okay? These are probably the number 1, I hate this saying, but fit food, right? These are the most bioavailable source of protein, so our body, this has actually been backed by nutritionists as well, meaning that everything we take from eggs, all the protein, the nutrients, our body absorbs completely, okay? This is one of the number 1 foods that you can be eating, eggs. They've got so much good in them, they've got really healthy fats in them. You should be consuming, as long as you're not a vegan, eggs within your diet, okay? Every single day. Now, I consume at the moment 5 eggs, and then I put some egg whites in there as well, just to top the protein up a little bit. Sometimes I have half an avocado with that, have a little bit of cheese. That's typically my breakfast with some veg alongside that as well. That's what I like to have at the moment. Or if I'm training, which I'm going to get onto in a second, I maybe would have my eggs as a post-workout or later on in the day at some point. But there's not really a day that goes past at the moment when I don't have this. Now, you can have scrambled eggs, poached eggs. There isn't really like a specific type of egg that I would say to have, whatever you enjoy having, but you want to be trying to get eggs within your diet. I would also try and get more of a better quality standard of eggs as well. Now, you don't have to get the super expensive ones, but what you'll see is the ones that are really cheap sometimes aren't the best quality. And also, again, if we're thinking about this ethically, the chickens haven't been farmed in potentially the best of ways. So sometimes you just want to support that side of things as well, and actually get chickens that have had a good life. That's my philosophy with it anyway. So that's the first thing. Eggs, really, really good breakfast idea. You should be having these at some point during your day, I believe, as they're a really big staple in most people's diets. That's number 1, okay? Number 2 is going to be proteins. Okay, now if you don't know what proteins are, let me explain. Okay, this is oatmeal with protein powder inside of it. Okay, this is why it's in the bodybuilding word called proteins. So this is essentially making sure that we're getting in oats in the morning with protein powder inside of it. You can put frozen fruit inside of it. Now my go-to at the moment is my pre-workout meal. It's going to be oats, it's going to be peanut butter, it's going to be protein powder, a good quality protein powder, so I go for whey isolate. A tiny little bit of honey and cinnamon. Cinnamon's actually really good in the morning, as well as a few benefits to that. And then also I'll put in like some skim milk and all that kind of thing that goes into it as well. Just make a nice bowl of protein. Yeah, I'll put on the screen at the moment like how I would make my oats, what my oats currently look like, and you can kind of see. I think I did a previous video on this anyway. So anyway, the reason why this is such a great breakfast is because it's got everything that we would need in it if we are looking to maybe train kind of later on in the day, or potentially as a post-workout. Now, my take would be, if you're training first thing in the morning, or if you're training, say, at lunchtime, this is a really good breakfast to have because this has got carbohydrates in it, okay? Top 1, if we just have eggs on its own, doesn't. So if we're the sort of person that needs a high energy demand in the morning because we're training or because we're replenishing our workout, you would want to go for option 2, in my opinion, because we want to get some carbohydrates on board. And also, an oatmeal is a good quality carbohydrate. It's more of a complex carbohydrate if you choose the right oats. When I say the right oats, you don't really want to be going for instant oatmeal. This is more of a kind of man-made oatmeal that's just been changed and processed quite a lot. Essentially, it just means it's a lot higher on a glycemic index. It has a much bigger impact on your blood sugar, which means it's absorbed much faster. It's going to lead to a bigger crash and spike in terms of energy levels. Whereas if we go for steel cut oats, or if we go for rolled oats, much better option in terms of keeping our glycemic index lower, keeping our insulin response lower, which means it's actually going to keep us a lot more full as well. So at the moment, I go for gluten-free rolled oats. The reason why I go for gluten-free is because I try and avoid gluten if I can. I don't feel like my body reacts to it too well. It causes sometimes a bit of inflammation. Gluten isn't something we should be having too much of. So if I can find a gluten alternative to some of my products, I will use that. So that's what I have at the moment, okay? Number 2, proteins. Make sure you're having these. If you aren't already, give it a try, see how you find it. And as I say, I'll put a recipe underneath so you can understand roughly how you should be making your oats, okay? Number 3, and this is something that I have had before, whereas at the moment, I would normally have this meal as my pre-bed meal, okay? Now, Greek yogurt. So this is the third thing that I think is also a really good breakfast idea. This is again gonna probably go back to, similar to eggs, this is gonna be more of a high fat, high protein, lower carb breakfast. So if you don't have much of an energy demand in the morning, if you train after work, if you don't need the energy, I would suggest you actually don't have carbs at breakfast. I would actually suggest you do go for something high fat like eggs or some full fat Greek yogurt. Maybe put some dark chocolate in here, some peanut butter. This is actually gonna provide you with probably more energy in the morning, because when we actually have a lot of carbohydrates, as I say, sometimes we can get a little bit of a crash, which we want to avoid. And also as well, this is gonna be much better for your cognitive function. So it's actually been shown that high fat in meal 1 and high protein actually leads to better mental performance, okay? Better clarity, less brain fog. So we actually want to be consuming this kind of food. So Greek yogurt works really well. That's why I'd say go for full fat Greek yogurt, because there's nothing wrong with fat. And a lot of the time when they take fat out of food and make it low fat, it actually becomes way more processed. If you look at the back in terms of ingredients on some of these foods, they put a lot of things inside to make that product low fat. So sometimes we want food in its most natural form, which is why a full fat Greek yogurt works really well. And again, we could put things like honey in here, we could put a little bit of granola, although we've got to be careful with granola because it is high in calories, so we don't want to have too much. As I say, berries, dark chocolate, peanut butter, cinnamon. These are great things you can put inside your Greek yogurt in the morning as well. So this is a really good one. The reason why this is a good breakfast as well is because this is really easy to prepare. So literally you just get some Greek yogurt out, put it in a bowl, put some other things inside of it, easy. Eggs arguably take a little bit longer to prepare, so sometimes that's why people won't have them first thing. Oats, there's lots of ways you can make oats, but they don't typically take that long to prepare. So that's option 3. Option number 4, okay? Now this is one that I've had a lot in the past as well, and we're gonna explain this one to you. A smoothie. Now, when I say smoothie, I mean a protein smoothie, okay? I mean a protein shake that you added more to, okay? So this could be like a whey protein, you put some milk in it, put peanut butter, dark chocolate, banana, frozen fruit, all these kind of things, and you're just gonna put it all together and have it in like a NutriBullet or like whatever blender that you've got. This is a really good breakfast as well because it hits a lot of these things. It's essentially this here, so it's essentially potentially oats, but just put into a blender, which makes it much quicker. Maybe you wouldn't want to put the actual oats in your smoothie if you want to go for more of a higher fat, high protein breakfast. If you're looking to get the carbs in, maybe you need more calories, energy expenditure is a little bit higher. Maybe you would put the oats in and you're going to have oats inside your smoothie as well. You can actually get grounded oats that basically are like oats in a powdered form, which you can get from places like MyProtein. So when I used to be in my kind of gaining days and I was like trying to eat a lot of food to grow, which for me I had to because naturally I was a very skinny teenager, so I had to eat quite a lot, I had to bulk hard, some people would say. So essentially what I used to do is I used to put all of this food, or a lot of food, and I used to make smoothies, I used to make shakes that were about 1,000 calories. Okay, so I used to put about 100 grams of oats in, about 30 grams of peanut butter, banana, frozen fruit. I used to even sometimes put oil inside of it because oil obviously is very calorific and it's actually a really good source of fat. You get olive oil. So that's what I used to have in the morning. Now, if you need to get calories in fast, you're a hard gainer, you're trying to build muscle, or maybe you've got a really active job and you're on your feet all day and you need the calories, this can be a really good option. And also, it's quick and it's easy. So the reason why a smoothie works really well is because it's just going to take you like 1 minute, 2 minutes to prepare, just to put things in a blender, and then it's all gonna be done and ready for you. So this is essentially a really good option for you guys to have. I used to have this a lot myself. You can even make this the night before, and it just gives you access to good quality food first thing in the morning, okay? That's number 4. And the last one, which you may have been expecting to see, which you also may be a little bit shocked, black coffee. Now, this is what I would have if I was looking to fast. Fasting is absolutely fine. In fact, there are a lot of benefits of fasting, of doing intermittent fasting and not having a meal 1. I used to do this for a long period of time. The only reason why I haven't done this recently is because I'm trying to eat 4,000 calories again because I'm trying to grow. If I was to fast first thing in the morning and just have a coffee, it's more difficult for me to get that amount and that volume of food in. So it just makes sense to me to have a bigger breakfast. At the moment, typically I'm having this for my breakfast. Okay, option number 2, because I normally then train at about 10, 11 o'clock. Anyway, I'm not going to digress too much. Black coffee is, for a lot of people, especially in a fat loss phase, a really, really good thing to have for breakfast, even though essentially it's not a breakfast. We're skipping breakfast. Fasting is going to work really well in terms of pushing calories back to the second half of the day. It's going to lower inflammation. It's actually going to keep energy levels higher, because people don't realize that when they eat a crap breakfast like cereal or toast, this is going to make energy levels suck, because it's actually going to trigger insulin response. You're going to get maybe energy for like an hour, and then you're going to feel crap. So when you get to 11, 12 o'clock and you're hungry and all you can think about is food and you've got no energy and you're slumping around the office, that's because your breakfast was terrible. If you just didn't have breakfast, kept your body in a low insulin state, and it just kept running, especially having had a black coffee, because caffeine is going to push you a little bit. It's going to give you a bit of extra energy. So you're going to feel way better from not having breakfast. You're going to be less hungry from not having breakfast, rather than having a crappy breakfast, which is processed, which is just going to see you hit that slump at like 11, 12 o'clock. So if you are the sort of person at the moment that isn't training first thing in the morning, maybe you train later on in the day, or maybe on the days that you don't train and it's a rest day and you don't have a massive energy demand, you're working in an office, you know, you've got a desk-based job, this is an option that I would take. I would have a coffee, see how you tolerate fasting, maybe just start off with having that first meal at like 10, 11 o'clock, so you're just pushing back a couple of hours, then see how you feel if you push to 12 o'clock, then maybe 2 o'clock, and you can do a kind of a 2 till 10 fast, which is the typical kind of 16-8 window. So guys, just to summarize, these are my top 5 breakfast ideas when it comes to 2024. I would make sure you are choosing one of these things if you want success with your diet. As I said, there are certain foods that I would avoid, typically things like cereal, toast, just on its own. Like, I would not have these things because I don't think that they're gonna fill you up, give you lots of energy, and they're probably gonna lead to a binge at some point later in the day. So you wanna go for something like this. As you can see, the common trend with all these, apart from obviously the last one, is high protein. We've got protein in each of these meals. We've got lots of single food ingredients. We've got good quality nutrients for you to be getting on board first thing in the morning. So I hope you found this video useful. Make sure you smash the like button if you have. Make sure you hit the bell notification so you're notified every time I post. Hit subscribe, and I'm gonna catch you guys in the next video.